Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So in this video we are going to be learning through about 3 different ways to create a figure using Matplotlib, and then we'll be choosing which one we prefer, okay? So first we need to launch our Jupyter notebook in order to learn these methods. So let's do that. Okay, here we are at our Anaconda prompt. So it's the normal standard procedure. So make sure you set up your environment before you do this. So obviously you need to activate your environment by saying conda activate. I want to activate users. And I'm just going to type in the file path of my environment, okay? So let's just finish that up real quick. There we go, and then we can type in Jupyter notebook and then it will start launching. Okay, so here we are with our home page. So now we're going to go ahead and go to our Jupyter notebook and launch it. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so here I am, and I haven't created a notebook yet. So let's do that now by clicking new Python 3, and it will start up a new notebook. So I'm gonna rename this notebook Introduction to Matplot. I keep on spelling Matplotlib. So Matplotlib, okay? So let's start. So in a big bold heading, I'm gonna write Introduction to Matplotlib. Big bold heading. Okay, so the first thing we want to make sure is we want to make sure that we want to make sure our plots appear within Jupyter notebook, because for some reason there's these consequences where you end up writing the correct code, but it doesn't appear inside a Jupyter notebook. It appears some random place, and then you just notice after you've done doing it. Okay, so you have to make sure they appear within. So we can do this in Jupyter notebook. Otherwise, if you have any other IDE, you don't need to do this. But I'm going to do this because I'm in Jupyter notebook. So I'm going to say matplotlib inline. So now it will appear inline or inside our Jupyter notebook. And then after that, we need to import all the needed libraries. Okay. We can do this by going import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Most people call it plt for short. We can do import numpy as np and import pandas as pd. Now we'll need all of these libraries, okay? And especially for practice as well. So again, I spelled matplotlib wrong, so you have to make sure you spell it correctly, okay? So that's working now. So after we have done that, we can start exploring. So if you want to create a simple figure, you can go plt.plot, and you will have a figure, but you will have these empty brackets, and those show that there is no data there's no data in your figure whatsoever. But I don't really like that, but you can keep it if you want, but it kind of ruins how it looks. So I'm going to say plt.plot, and then easy as pie, you can put a semicolon on the end, and it looks a bit nicer, okay? Another way you can stop it from coming is you can say plt.plot, and then you can say plt.show, and it won't appear, it won't, that nasty output, not output, this nasty output won't appear anymore. So there's a way you can add data. So if you plt.plot brackets and then press shift tab, it says plus. We can look at some parameters, the call signatures. So we can pass in x as a list over here. So the x-axis data. Okay, actually, let's look at it again and see what the x is. Okay, I'm trying to find. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So where did it go? Oh my goodness. Okay, so x and y, they are array-like or scalar. So array-like basically means in a list. The horizontal vertical coordinates of the data points. X values are optional and default to the range of the length of y. Okay. So if you don't understand that, don't worry, I'll just explain to you. So we're just gonna make some data we might want to plot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty simple. And you put a semicolon at the end. So what does this adding the x list? So this basically it adds x-axis data. Okay, so now if we run this, you'll see that we have this line. So because 1, 2, 3, 4, they increase, so it can just go in a straight line perfectly. Okay. So yeah, if you want x and y data and you want it a bit more organized, you can say x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can say y is equal to 11, 22, 33, and 44. Okay, and that should be pretty good. So this over here is our x data, and this over here is our y data. And then what we can do is we can plot the data, so plt.plot, and then we can pass in x and y. Put a semicolon. Let me put this properly. There we go. So now we have a line, and these kind of axes are different now. So this goes up to 4, and this goes up to about roughly 44. Okay. So now we can look at the 3 ways. But before that, let's search up the Matplotlib documentation. And I need to start spelling this properly. So Matplotlib documentation. Okay, so it should say overview Matplotlib, your latest version, the latest version of Matplotlib documentation. So we're not going to actually look at the proper documentation. We're going to look at the tutorials. So we're going to look at pyplot tutorial because that's what we're working on. So it says matplotlib.pyplot is a collection of functions that make matplotlib work like MATLAB. So maybe some of you may have worked with MATLAB before. It's a matplotlib. It's kind of similar to matplotlib. So each pyplot function makes some change to a figure. For example, it creates a figure, creates a plotting area in a figure, plots some lines in the plotting area, decorates the plot with labels, etc., etc. So let's read this note. It's pretty important, actually. So it says the pyplot API is generally less flexible than the object-oriented API. Most of the function calls you see here can also be called as methods from an acess object. We recommend browsing the tutorials and examples to see how this works. So if we really wanted to know which one was recommended, the pyplot method or the OO method, also known as the object-oriented API, we can search up matplotlib life cycle plots. The life cycle of a plot, and again here it says in general try to use the object-oriented interface. So if it keeps on saying it over and over again, then obviously we should be following what it says. Okay, so yeah, that's what we should do. So as I told you, we're going to be looking at the three ways to create a figure. And a little sneaky peek for you guys, we're going to be using the object-oriented method, okay? But I'm going to show you all three because you guys need to decide which ones you're more comfortable with, okay? So let's look at method 1. So let's look at that one. So we're going to say fig, which is a figure, is equal to plt dot figure. Okay, so what does this do over here? This bit, it creates a figure. Okay, and then ax is equal to fig dot add subplot. So an axis can also be known as a subplot. So here what we do is we add an axis and then we want to show our figure. So plt dot show, and there we go, voila, we have our empty figure. Okay, so now let's look at method 2. So let's type that down, method 2. So we're going to say fig is equal to plt dot figure. Okay, so again, you should know what this does. It creates a figure or an empty plot. Usually it's called a figure. We can say ax is then equals to fig dot add axes, and we're gonna pass in fig dot add axes. We're gonna pass in 1, 1, 1, 1. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say ax dot plot. We're gonna plot x and y. So if you remember what x and y was, so let's call them. Those was x was 1, 2, 3, 4, and y was 11, 22, 33, 34. So what do we do here? We just plot some data onto the axes. Okay, and then we do plt.show to show our data. And again, we actually have some data here. We actually have a method where we show some data. And then we're going to look at method 3, which is the recommended method. And this is the object-oriented method, okay? So we're going to say fig ax is equal to plt dot subplots. So what we do here is we create a figure and an axis. Okay, so we do it in like a one-liner, and then you just say ax dot plot, and let's just plot x and y. So yeah, that actually looks pretty good. So it's actually quite flexible. You won't notice it now, but when we start getting used to it, it's actually really, really flexible. Okay, so yeah, so this is the method we're going to be using today. So yeah, that was actually all I want to teach you guys in this video. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at maybe the anatomy of a Matplotlib plot, and we're also going to be showing you an example of a Matplotlib workflow, so you guys know what you guys are looking at when you start getting into more advanced projects. So yeah, so if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any comments or doubts, please comment them in the comment section below. And yeah, so I'll also be putting these two links over here so you guys can read them if you like, but all you need to know is this note, but you can still read it if you like. So yeah, so I guess that's the end of this video. Bye.